The Cabin That Remembered Us, an original Reddit horror story. The little girl's voice echoed through the darkness. Welcome home, big brother. My father grabbed my arm. Run. The flashlight flickered back to life. The closet was empty. The footprints on the floor had disappeared, as if they had never existed. We rushed downstairs. My mother was holding Ben tightly. Emma stood frozen in front of the fireplace. She wasn't moving. She wasn't blinking. She was staring at one of the photographs. Emma, I shouted. No response. My father gently shook her shoulder. She slowly turned toward us. Tears rolled down her face. I remember this Christmas, she whispered. What Christmas? My mother asked. The one we spent here. Emma smiled faintly. I was 9. Dad built me that piano. Mom baked cinnamon cookies. Lily kept stealing them. The room fell silent. Lily isn't real, my father said firmly. You don't have a sister. Emma looked confused. Then she laughed. What are you talking about? Of course I do. She's upstairs. My mother's face turned pale. She looked at me, then at my father. This place is changing her. Suddenly, Ben interrupted. No, it's changing all of us. We stared at him. He pointed toward the hallway mirror. Look. I turned slowly. The reflection looking back at us was wrong. My father had a thick beard, even though he had shaved that morning. My mother looked years younger. Emma's hair was shorter. Ben was wearing clothes he'd never packed, and I was standing beside someone, a little girl. She held my hand, smiling. I looked behind me. No one was there. I looked back at the mirror. She was still there. She slowly turned her head and looked directly at me. Then she whispered, without opening her mouth, "Don't leave me again." The mirror cracked from top to bottom. Everyone screamed. My father smashed it with a chair. Glass exploded across the floor. The reflection vanished. But one piece remained intact. Inside that small shard, the little girl was still standing, still smiling. Then she slowly walked away into the darkness inside the mirror. That evening, snow began falling again, harder than before. Outside, the cabin was disappearing beneath the storm. My father checked his phone, still no signal. The emergency radio produced only static. Then, a woman's voice came through. Clear, calm. The Wilson family has finally returned home. My father immediately switched it off. My last name wasn't Wilson. None of ours was. Yet somehow, the radio knew us, or thought it did. Hours passed. No one spoke. Around midnight, Ben quietly stood up. "Seth, where are you going?" my mother asked. He smiled. "Lily can't sleep." Before anyone could stop him, he walked upstairs. We ran after him. Every bedroom door was open. Ben was nowhere to be seen. Then we heard children laughing. Not one child. Several. Coming from behind the wall. My father placed his hand against the wooden paneling. The laughter stopped. Then 3 soft knocks answered from inside the wall. Knock, knock, knock. My father's face changed. There's a room behind this. He pushed against the wall. Nothing happened. Then Ben's voice echoed from somewhere inside. "Dad, we've been waiting for you." My mother burst into tears. "Ben." No answer, only silence. Then, the old grandfather clock downstairs began ringing again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It didn't stop. 7, 8, 9. The sound grew louder, louder, louder. The entire cabin started shaking. Family photographs began falling from the walls. As they hit the floor, every picture changed. The faces in them were becoming ours. Not similar, not close. Exactly ours. As if the cabin was replacing another family with us. Then every photograph displayed the same handwritten sentence across the bottom. Memories don't die, they move in. The lights went out, complete darkness, and somewhere inside the cabin, a child softly whispered, "Dinner is ready." The hidden basement. The cabin fell silent, not the kind of silence you hear at night. This was different, heavy, like the walls themselves were listening. Nobody moved, nobody spoke. Then, a loud crack echoed beneath our feet. The wooden floor trembled. Dust drifted down from the ceiling. My father looked at me. "Did you hear that?" I nodded. The sound had come from below us. He grabbed the flashlight. "I'm checking the basement." "There isn't a basement," my mother replied. "We've searched this place." My father didn't answer. He walked toward the fireplace. Something about the floor beneath it looked different. Older, the wooden planks weren't aligned with the rest of the cabin. He knelt down, ran his fingers along the edge, then pushed. Click. The fireplace slowly slid several inches to the side. A narrow staircase appeared beneath it, leading underground. Cold air rushed upward, carrying the smell of damp wood, rust, and something else, something rotten. Ben smiled. I told you. Grandma lives downstairs. Nobody wanted to go, but we couldn't leave Ben alone. My father looked at me. You're coming with me. Emma wanted to follow. My father shook his head. No. You stay here with your mother and Ben. If we're not back in 10 minutes, he stopped speaking. He didn't finish the sentence. We climbed down the narrow staircase. Each step creaked beneath our weight. The darkness below felt endless. The flashlight barely reached the bottom. When we stepped onto the dirt floor, I realized this place was far older than the cabin. Stone walls, wooden support beams, ancient bricks covered in moss. It looked like something buried decades ago. Then I noticed shelves, hundreds of them, stretching across the basement. Each shelf held journals, boxes, photographs, suitcases, children's toys, broken clocks, old family albums, everything covered in dust. My father picked up one of the journals, leather cover, no title, only a date, 1956. He opened it, the first page read, Day 1. The cabin is beautiful. The children love it. We're staying 4 nights. He flipped ahead. Day 3. My wife keeps talking about a daughter we never had. Another page. Day 5. I can no longer remember our old house. The final page was written in shaky handwriting. We belong here now. The remaining pages were blank. My father silently placed it back. We opened another journal. 1979. Our son says the forest remembers everyone's names. Another. My husband disappeared. Nobody else remembers he ever existed. Another. 2004. The photographs keep changing. They're replacing us. My heart began pounding. Every journal told the same story. Different families, different years, different names. The same cabin, the same ending. None of them escaped. Then my flashlight landed on something in the far corner. A large wooden wall, covered with framed photographs. Hundreds of them. Families smiling in front of the cabin. Some photos looked over a century old, others looked recent. One photograph made my blood run cold. It was taken last winter. The family looked happy, smiling, standing on the porch. There were 5 people. Then, right before my eyes, the photograph changed. One person slowly faded away. The family now had 4 members. As if the missing person never existed. My father whispered, "Oh my God." Then we found another photograph. It was ours. Our family, standing outside the cabin. We had never taken that picture. I looked closer. There weren't 5 people. There were 6. The little girl stood between Ben and me, holding both our hands. On the back of the frame, someone had written a message. The Wilson family arrived, December 18th, stayed forever. My father slowly backed away. Our name isn't Wilson. Then another voice answered from the darkness. It is now. The flashlight shook in my father's hand. Someone was standing at the end of the basement, hidden in the shadows, an elderly woman, my grandmother. She smiled, gently. Then she whispered, "Welcome home, Daniel." My father's face turned white. No. She took one slow step forward. You were born here. Another step. You just forgot. The flashlight went out. The basement plunged into darkness. Then, dozens of voices surrounded us. Children, parents, grandparents, all whispering together. Stay with us. Stay with us. Stay with us. My father grabbed my arm. Run! We sprinted toward the staircase. Behind us, footsteps echoed through the darkness. Not one set, hundreds, all chasing us. My father didn't stop running. Neither did I. The whispers behind us grew louder. Hundreds of footsteps echoed through the basement. Closer, closer, closer. We burst through the hidden doorway. The fireplace slid shut behind us. Silence, complete silence. My mother rushed toward us. Where's Ben? My father froze. We both looked around. Ben wasn't there. Nobody remembered seeing him leave. Nobody remembered him coming back upstairs. My mother screamed his name, again and again. Nothing. Then Emma frowned. Who's Ben? I stared at her. What? She looked confused. Who's Ben? My father grabbed her shoulders. Your little brother. Emma slowly shook her head. I've never had a brother. My blood turned cold. The cabin had already started erasing him. My father ran toward the family photographs. Every picture had changed again. There were only 4 people now. Me, Emma, my parents. Ben was gone, as if he had never existed. My mother opened her phone. Hundreds of family pictures. Not one contained Ben. His bedroom at home had disappeared from every photo. His birthday videos, gone. His name wasn't in my contacts anymore. Only I and my father still remembered him. Then I remembered the journals. The basement, I shouted. We forced the fireplace open again, ran downstairs. This time, the old woman was waiting. She sat calmly in a wooden rocking chair, smiling. You finally understand. My father pointed the flashlight at her. What are you? She smiled. I'm the house. The room fell silent. She continued. I was never a woman. I only wear faces people trust. The air suddenly became colder. The cabin isn't haunted. It is hungry. It doesn't feed on blood. It feeds on memories. It eats families, not their bodies, their lives. I couldn't speak. She pointed toward the shelves. Every family leaves something behind. At first, they lose photographs, then names, then memories, and finally, the world forgets they ever existed. My father whispered, so all those missing people? She nodded. They're still here. They simply don't exist anywhere else. Then she stood, slowly. The rocking chair kept moving by itself. She walked toward an old wooden door hidden behind the shelves. Come, if you want your brother back. My father looked at me. We're going. The old woman opened the door. Beyond it was another house. Not a room, not a basement. A neighborhood, an endless neighborhood. Thousands of identical cabins stretched into the darkness. Every porch light glowed softly. Every window showed families eating dinner, laughing, talking, smiling. But something was wrong. Every family looked perfect, too perfect. Nobody blinked. Nobody moved naturally, like living photographs. The old woman whispered, every family you see once belonged somewhere else. They forgot. Now, they belong to me. Then I saw him. Ben, standing on the porch of another cabin, holding hands with the little girl, Lily. He smiled at us, but there was no recognition in his eyes. He didn't know who we were. He believed he had always lived there. My mother screamed his name. He simply waved, like we were strangers. Then Lily looked directly at me. She smiled and quietly said, "You're next." The old woman turned back toward us. The cabin gives every family one choice. Leave, and the forgotten stay forgotten. Or remain, and your family becomes whole again. My father looked at my mother. She was crying. Emma no longer remembered Ben. I was beginning to forget his voice, his laugh, even his face. Time was running out. Then the old woman smiled one final time. The cabin never steals families. It replaces them. Whoa. And once the last memory disappears, you were never born anywhere else. The lights inside every cabin suddenly turned toward us. Thousands of people, all at once, stopped eating and slowly looked through their windows. At us, smiling. Escape before you're forgotten. Nobody spoke. Not my father, not my mother, not Emma, not me. We stood there, surrounded by thousands of cabins. Every family watched us through their windows. None of them blinked. None of them moved. They only smiled. The old woman folded her hands. You have until the dinner bell. After that, the choice belongs to the cabin. A distant bell echoed through the endless neighborhood. 1, 2, 3. Its sound rolled across every cabin. Lights flickered behind every window. Families slowly stood from their dinner tables. Without speaking, without looking at each other, every one of them walked toward their front doors. At the same time, my father grabbed my arm. We're getting Ben. We're leaving. No matter what? The old woman smiled. Many families have said that. None of them succeeded. She stepped aside. The path to Ben's cabin was clear. We ran. The ground felt strangely soft, almost like walking across old photographs. Every few steps, faces appeared beneath our feet, thousands of them, silent, watching us. We finally reached Ben's cabin. He was still standing on the porch, holding Lily's hand. He smiled, "Help you?" My mother's eyes filled with tears. "Ben, it's Mom." He looked confused. "My mother is inside." He pointed toward the cabin. The front door slowly opened. A woman stepped outside. She looked exactly like my mother. The same face, the same voice, the same clothes. She wrapped an arm around Ben. "Who are these people?" Ben shrugged. "I don't know. They keep calling me by the wrong name." My real mother collapsed to her knees. "No, no." The copy smiled warmly. "You've upset my son. Please leave." My father stepped forward. "Give him back." The copy laughed softly. "He was never yours." My father swung at her. His fist passed straight through her, like smoke. She never stopped smiling. Then the dinner bell rang again. Louder, much louder. Every cabin door opened at once. Thousands of families stepped outside. They all turned toward us. Together. Every single one smiled. Then they began walking. Slowly. Toward us. The old woman whispered from behind, "The cabin has made its choice." The sky suddenly darkened. The cabins began changing. Walls stretched higher, windows multiplied, doors appeared where there had been none before. The neighborhood became a maze. Our path back disappeared. Emma grabbed my hand. "I can't remember our house." I looked at her. "What?" She frowned. "I can't remember where we lived before this." My heart sank. The cabin was erasing us. Fast. My father pulled the old journal from his jacket. "The journals!" He flipped through the pages desperately. One loose piece of paper fell onto the ground. It hadn't been there before. Written faded ink were 6 words. "The exit remembers your true name." Below it, another sentence. "Speak it before you forget." My father looked at us. "Say your full names. Now!" "My name is Daniel Carter." "My name is Sarah Carter." "My name is Michael Carter." Emma hesitated. Tears rolled down her face. "I don't remember." She couldn't remember her own name. The smiling families were getting closer. 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 The old woman laughed. "Once your name is gone, you belong to us forever." I grabbed Emma's shoulders. "Emma Carter. Your name is Emma Carter." She stared at me, then whispered, "Emma? Emma Carter." The moment she said it, a bright light flashed across the maze. One narrow path appeared through the cabins. At the end of it, the original cabin stood waiting. Its front door was wide open. The old woman stopped smiling. "No, you remembered." Her voice changed, becoming deeper, angrier. Every smiling family suddenly screamed. A deafening sound filled the neighborhood. The ground began shaking violently. The cabins cracked, windows shattered. The maze started collapsing around us. My father shouted, "Run!" We sprinted toward the glowing path. Behind us, thousands of footsteps thundered across the neighborhood. Not walking anymore. Running. Chasing us. As we reached the cabin door, I looked back one last time. Ben was still standing on the porch, watching us. He slowly raised one hand and smiled. Then he quietly whispered, "Don't forget me." The cabin door slammed shut. Everything went black. Darkness. Complete darkness. Then, I heard rain. Cold rain. I opened my eyes. I was lying on wet grass. The old cabin stood in front of us, silent, empty. Every light inside was gone. The front door hung open, as if nothing had ever happened. My father slowly stood up. We made it. My mother looked around. "Where's Ben?" Nobody answered. We all knew. Ben hadn't escaped. We searched the cabin one last time. Every room was empty. No furniture, no photographs, no grandfather clock, no basement, nothing. Only dust, years of dust, as though the cabin had been abandoned forever. We left. The drive home felt endless. Nobody spoke. Nobody cried. Nobody looked back. When we finally reached home, everything felt wrong. Ben's bedroom had become a storage room. His toys were gone. His clothes no longer existed. Every photograph in our house showed only 4 people. Me, Emma, my mother, my father. It was as if Ben had never been born. Within days, my mother stopped mentioning him. Emma no longer remembered having a little brother. Only my father and I still remembered. Barely. Every morning, his face became harder to picture. His voice faded. His laugh disappeared. I realized something horrifying. The cabin wasn't finished. It was still taking him away, one memory at a time. Months passed. Life slowly returned to normal, or at least it pretended to. People asked about my family. I always answered, there are 5 of us. They always corrected me. No, there are 4. One rainy evening, I decided to drive back. Alone, I needed to know. The road was exactly where I remembered it, but the cabin was gone. Only an empty clearing remained. No foundation, no driveway, nothing. I searched for hours. There wasn't a single sign that a cabin had ever stood there. As I turned to leave, I noticed something lying in the grass. A faded family photograph. I picked it up. It showed my family standing in front of the cabin. Me, Emma, my parents, and Ben. For the first time in months, I remembered his face perfectly. He was smiling. Then I noticed something. Behind our family, standing in the cabin doorway, was the old woman. She hadn't been there before. Slowly, words appeared across the bottom of the photograph. Thank you for remembering. A cold breeze passed behind me. Then, a familiar voice whispered beside my ear. Daniel, I never left. I spun around. Nobody was there. Only the sound of children laughing somewhere deep in the forest. I looked back at the photograph. Ben was gone. Only 4 people remained. The picture had changed. My hands began shaking. I looked toward the trees one last time. For just a second, I saw the cabin again, its porch light glowing. A small boy stood in the doorway. He looked exactly like Ben. He smiled, raised one hand, and quietly whispered, "Come home." The cabin disappeared. I never found it again. But every year, on the same date, I receive an old photograph in my mailbox. No stamp, no address, just another family, standing in front of the same cabin, smiling, as if they've always lived there. And every photograph has one sentence written on the back. The cabin always remembers. If your family ever finds an old cabin in the middle of nowhere and it feels strangely familiar, don't go inside, because some places don't haunt people. They replace them. And once the cabin remembers your family, the rest of the world will forget you ever existed. The end.